Back from Kenyans on what they're saying on this conversation. The hashtag is New Dawn. Also speak to us. SMS feedback line is 21222. Now, Kerubo says, talking of austerity measures, then the government should and must reduce the wage bill burden by abolishing unnecessary offices, including CASs, and duplication of roles as seen in Kenya today. Also, the government must stop burdening Kenyans by imposing punitive taxation laws. Thank you, Kerubo. We also have Gel Abdi, is it Gele, says, the question is simple. Why should we pay tax? Government will provide service. Show me what you have done with the budgets for last year. Why is education ailing, basic education ailing? Why do we have empty government pharmaceuticals? Where did the money go? Where is the drought money? So many questions that Kenyans still have, touching on accountability. Baraza Kelvin says, I have read the bill in totality and don't know about these leaders who are saying Kenyans haven't read. We are really at our lowest. All right. And that is more feedback from Kenyans this morning. And we have Njeri Wamwea says, Omutata and Jimmy Njigi did a breakdown of our debt and saw that Kenyans have paid their debt a long time ago. The finance bill is to go into people's pockets. All right, and that's an interesting take on that. Diba Ali says, we're paying so much, but all of it gets squandered. Why pay them? You can never tax your way to prosperity. We need to say no to vanity projects, SGR, Expressway, and more other vanity. In Isiolo, we allocated so much to stadiums, but we have no water. V says, listen to the voice of Kenyans. Don't ignore. We can dialogue and reach an understanding. Ignoring Gen Zs will create a revolution that could be managed if we just had dialogue. They should stop ignoring nationwide protests. It is clear that the people are not happy. Liki says, has anybody ever quantified how much money is spent every weekend when the president moves around the country? Or is this Mandazi eating parties in State House or Karen? Right, because we must live within our means, mustn't we? Okoth says, we've heard that there is corruption. Why are they so aggressive on taxing poor citizens instead of using the same energy and aggression to deal and recover the money stolen? All right, many thanks, Okoth. And the viewers there asking many pertinent questions. Soy Member of Parliament David Kiplagat is with us here in studio. And just before we took that break, Honorable Kiplagat, you stated the country's fiscal situation as is. Let me ask you this. Because the Kenya Kwanza government made a lot of promises. And now overtaxing Kenyans and double taxing Kenyans because we must live within our means. We must finance our own projects. But President William Ruto, just in his first 17 months in power, has borrowed comparatively higher and even spent lower on development than his predecessors. Is he keeping that promise?
Okay, maybe what we need to understand is what has been the provision of borrowing. If you look at when we came in, the borrowing that had been budgeted was 1.1 trillion. We managed to reduce that to around 900 billion. 2023-2024, we went to 700. This budget, we are coming to 593 to be specific. And if you look at the budget, those provisions are there. So what has been happening in keeping to the tradition of having a balanced budget within 3 years, you can see it is coming down.
But he has spent significantly less on development. So where is this borrowed money going?
Of course, I told you there's a whole pending bill of around 700
But you're not
billion.
paying it.
But you're not paying it.
You're not paying it.
Zero.
You're still
There's no budget
investigating and
allocation to
auditing.
pending bills for the
No,
projected
There's
budget.
no
You haven't
budget.
paid.
Even you should
What
review the
happens,
budget.
like when, for example, in my place, we had a contractor who was doing a tarmac who had disappeared for 4 years. When the government came in, we had to look for the contractor, and you don't look for a contractor by just going and sweet talking him. You pay the money. So, and that contractor, I can confirm, is now on site because we have managed to pay around 500 million for him to come back.
There's
And
been
it
no
has
allocation to pending bills in the next
and it
financial
has
year.
been, I'm telling you, not even pending bills, to take those contractors to site on those abandoned projects alone has been billions of shillings. This pending bill that has been taken to verification is the old pending bills that needs to be verified whether it is valid for purposes of payment. And once that report is once they are through with that report, it will come to Parliament so that we can be able to budget to pay all pending bills. And I can assure you, if there is something that we prioritize, is the payment of pending bills, because that is a requirement of the PFM Act. We cannot run away from it. So it is only that. We are not sure, because it is so huge. We are not sure which one is valid, which one is not valid. So that verification committee, once they are through, we shall provide the money to pay. Even, for example, in our committee, because you are saying there is no provision for a pending bill, in our committee there was the issue of the maize flour subsidy. We found out that although there was messy business that was done for the small scale, the small scale millers, they had no issue. The big millers were the ones who were colluding to do ABCD, but the small scale actually did genuine business, and we have provided that in the supplementary budget 500 million to pay that. So every committee looks at their situation and provide money during the discussion in the committee. So we cannot say that we have not provided money for purposes of paying pending bills.
Sorry, because you're the representative here of the government right now. I want to ask you one simple question. You saw the list that Treasury is telling us where there will have to be budget cuts. Okay, number one, do you agree with that list? Because what I'm proposing...
Of course, may I finish? You see, you know, in terms of budget making,
yes,
that is the domain of Parliament.
Yes, exactly.
The only thing, it is like you have hired in your office, you have hired your research assistant.
Right.
And your research assistant advises you that for this Mheshimiwa, this statement you are trying to...
Were you angry when you saw that list?
May I finish?
Were you angry?
I cannot be angry because you are just being advised. And advice, you can take it or leave it.
Okay.
If the only thing that is constant, that we have to say is that if in the process of not passing the finance bill, we create a hole of 200 billion, the only thing we need to ask in Parliament, because we have to balance that,
we have to
is where we are going, either we increase what we are going to borrow, may I finish? Either we increase what we are going to... No, may I finish? Either we increase what we are going to borrow, or secondly, we do budget cuts. Now, Treasury advises you, for these budget cuts, you affect the following ABCD. It is up to us as MPs to take it up, or we say, instead of affecting the cash transfer program, why don't we affect the recurrent expenditure in the Ministry A or in the Ministry B? So it is only, let us not give it a lot of, you know, sometimes you can give a lot of weight to a fly, which is not important. It is only advice.
Some of the issues, some of the sectors that will be receiving budget cuts include the National Government Affirmative Action Fund.
This is ridiculous. The National Government Affirmative Action Fund gives grants to the people, right? And you want to cut it by 50%. That again shows the president has a gender advisor in his office. He says he cares about women leadership, and then at the same time you're cutting it by 50%. Okay, so what I want to say is, for me, if you need to have budget cuts, excuse me, no, hold on. Yeah, but the majority are the men anyway. No, so but let me tell you something. You know, you don't.
How do you complain about an advice?
You don't cut something that has direct impact on the people, right? And the population. Sure. So I don't want the Treasury to get, Treasury, that money that they're getting for building, they're supposed to be making reports, right? What are they building? What do they need that money for? All right? Transport. Let us cut some money on roads. Let's get the county governments to actually start collecting more. Because there's a lot of...
You cannot cut money on roads.
You have to. Because why would you have capital expenditure? You know, you have to cut
Unless we don't know how to develop our country.
No, hold on. You know what? We have enough roads right now. Kibaki manages the economy with half of the roads that we have right now. Let us actually put the money to clearing pending bills. You know, you want to get roads with foreign contractors, right? Okay, take the money out instead of actually paying those pending bills. We need to clear the issue of the pending bills, and we need to clear it now. Why would you go incurring more debt when you know, in actual fact, we have so many stalled projects, we've got so many pending bills? Let us actually focus on all stalled projects. Let me tell you, when I am so proud. You know, I can go home and sleep and know I was a good leader. I discovered a hotel, the Margaret Kenyatta the Margaret Kenyatta Hospital, all right, in Korogocho. I discovered that hospital when I was going in campaigns, and I was like, why is this hospital stalled? I was told it was stalled for 25 years. Even before Mama Lucy was built, that hospital was constructed. I went and I fought for a budget for that hospital. It was finally opened. Kenyatta University Hospital, again, another problem. It was actually stalled.
Right.
We fought with the health committee to make sure we got that 1 billion, we operationalized it. And now you're telling me we want to cut on medics, let's cut the executive more. Let's cut treasury. Treasury doesn't need to construct anything. Let's forget about always constructing and new contracts. Let's go into repair and maintenance board.
Okay.
And then we don't do any capital expenditure. And the roads, let's cut by 100 billion. Take that money to clearing pending bills. Because why you want to put new roads when you haven't paid the bills for the previous roads?
Okay. And those are many valid questions, Honorable Mago. Essentially, the conversation we're having now is what happens if the proposed taxes are rejected in totality, and so Treasury comes up with a whole list of where the budget cuts would go.
It's not Treasury, it's Parliament.
Parliament, rather. Honorable Passaris doesn't seem to be in agreement, but there seems to be a lot of issues when it comes to prioritization of these major projects. You sit in Parliament yourself.
Yes.
And you know, as much as you say Kenya Kwanza members of Parliament will be representing the government, you are all government representatives. Kenyans are looking
without
at
numbers.
you. What comes next then, where we are for the finance bill? It moves to the committee of the whole house. What are your expectations there?
Okay, my expectations, having the bill having gone through the second reading, now the third reading is where we are required to do the amendments as they proposed, and the other amendments are up to amendments that we as members of Parliament also have put across to the committee for consideration. I expect, as they promised on the concessions, first of all to actualize that in the amendments, and there are also other amendments by our members from our side who are very disgruntled with the way the finance bill. Even after the proposed amendment, there are some key issues. If you looked at the report that the proposal by the committee, on their report, they were actually suggesting or proposing that they reintroduce this road maintenance fuel levy, which is going to be charged at around 9 shillings. And this is just another way. You can see the tactics that the government was employing. They tried to intimidate us, we say no. But now, when the Kenyans piled pressure on them and they were able to do these concessions, they are trying to sneak in another way of trying to raise this, to bridge this gap, which is going to increase the fuel price of this country for fuel products by 9 shillings per litre. This is actually a more punitive way to punish Kenyans, because fuel affects all factors of all sectors of the economy. From everything, from production, from consumption, from everything, from fuel, from it cuts across the board. And this is why we are rejecting this finance bill. And this is why we actually in disagreement with the government of the day. Because you cannot use the carrot and stick strategy, and when it doesn't work, you try sneaking in some clauses against the will of Kenyans. Kenyans are hurting. Kenyans have not recovered from the effects of COVID 2019. After COVID 2019, Kenya was ravaged by some drought, if you remember. After that, there have been floods. After that, the government, in its wisdom or lack of it, actually demolished houses for people in Nairobi. People are crying. The businesses have not recovered. Then you introduce a very punitive finance bill, 2023-2024. On top of that, now you come introduce another raft of taxes. Kenyans are saying, give us a break and try to listen to us. At least this time, Kenyans were expecting at least some taxes to be relaxed on them. And then we should be creative as a government to try to increase the tax base. We are slowly killing the tax base and actually piling so much taxes on a very small populace. And as my friend has put it, once you want to empower the youth and create employment for the youth, you actually look at the areas where they are trying to invest in. They have really invested in the digital space, the TikTok, YouTube, and other platforms where they are getting their income. When you try to tax that, you must expect a rebellion from this youth. And then the other issue, I don't know why we are discussing so much issues pertaining Kenyans who we've really refused to listen to.
All right. And so then, when you listen to Honorable Mwago Kiplagat, there are major issues that remain unresolved in the finance bill of 2024. And Kenyans, especially the Gen Z leading with the new phase of demonstrations, now say this will continue until the debate on the finance bill continues. You voted yes to sail the bill through to to the next stage, as you say, are there issues for you that need amendment and will touch on the people that you represent?
Okay, I think based on the amendments that are currently proposed, I feel from where I'm sitting, I feel for the government to be able to fund the budget, we have already conceded so much. Like my people requires fertilizer, because soy constituency is leading in the consumption of fertilizer, because we lead in terms of maize production in the whole country. So if I look at that budget, we have the provision of 10 billion in terms of fertilizer subsidy. Looking at the advice, I am taking it as an advice, the advice, if we are to go by the treasury, if we don't pass this budget, that fertilizer subsidy will be reduced to 5 billion. What will happen to already the farmers?
Get it from treasury.
May I finish? What will happen to my farmers? My farmers will be buying the subsidy fertilizer at an higher rate of maybe 4,000. So, you know, sometimes when you want to eat, you need to also know where the food is coming from. You don't want to just eat and you don't care where the food is coming from. So, from where I'm sitting, for the people of Soy, if we have that safety net in terms of provision, of subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, we are very comfortable, and that is our that is our baby child that we have to card. So anything that is going to touch on that, we are going to card it, and that's why I believe with the current amendments that have been done, for my farmers to be able to get the subsidy fertilizer, I will still vote yes when it comes to.
Sorry.
Yes.
I will still vote.
You know, this fertilizer thing gets to my skin, okay? Because we have messed up. We have no public confidence when it comes to fertilizer. Dangote has put up a big fertilizer plant, okay? I think we need to actually invite him, give him incentives, let him actually handle fertilizer and forget all these subsidies that we keep putting. Let's make fertilizer available at an affordable price. We're supporting an African producer instead of always supporting foreign, far distant producers. I really feel that we need to actually bring an investor to actually make and supply fertilizer, so we remove the hand of government on fertilizers. Let the fertilizers be available, let the space be open. Now we have three solutions.
But what happens to the cost?
I'm sure Dangote's fertilizer will be cheaper than what we are buying right now and what we are subsidizing right now. Okay? So now, and then also the rocks in the fertilizer will also go. So now we have three solutions to raise money. We can borrow more, we can cut expenses, or we can raise taxes. The best is to cut expenses. And if Treasury wants to give an advisory, I want them to rethink. Charity starts at home. You should have looked at your own budget. I don't know what he's reconstructing. Why does he need all that money in capital expenditure? He needs to basically forfeit his 126 billion. That's already half of the budget. All right. Executive needs to also, they have 20 billion. Lead by example. Cut it down by 10 billion. And then you also have transport. Cut it down by 100. When I say transport, cut it down by 100, I'm saying focus on stall projects, focus on stall projects, this has got nothing to do with pending bills. Focus on pending bills. Everybody needs to figure out how we're going to get pending bills down. And then we need to make sure that wherever we put our money, until we've got investor confidence, we need to make sure that we put money in the pockets of Kenyans. We need to make sure that we deal with corruption. You know, Obado. Right. Yesterday, Obado's, the anti-corruption coming up and saying that Obado, we had an investigation. You know, when you have no shame, you know, you come out and you make an announcement, those people should be fired. You come out and make we were investigating 1.9 billion. We've settled for 250 million, all right? And they're so proud to make this announcement. And then this 250 million, we're going to recover his properties. A house in Loresho, we're going to sell for 40 million. We're going to sell 2 flats for 9 million. Excuse me, I don't know of a house in Loresho that Obado could have owned that will go for 40 million. I don't know of flats in Nairobi that Obado could have owned that will go for 9 million. Flats are going for 70, 80 million. So already there's corruption. Surely, let me tell you, be a thief, steal, because you only have to refund the government 15% in settlement, and you can hold on to everything you've stolen. We are not serious about dealing with corruption. Right. The president needs to decisively deal with corruption. The president needs to give more incentives for people to bring the money that they've stolen and taken outside, give them 15% tax, you'll be able to raise the money, let them come back to Kenya, the money come back to Kenya, the dollars come back to Kenya,
Right.
so that we can hold the strength of our shilling, and then at the same time, you know, lower the cost of electricity. That cost of electricity is again a big corruption scam.
Absolutely, and that's some of the issues that we expect to see in the committee of the whole house as well.
What correction?
We must begin to wind up. Mwago, your closing
I
comments.
need to correct.
Okay, let him. He wants to correct.
I will give him closing comments.
Let me say this as we go, as my closing comments, but I really want also to add my voice on the issue that my colleague has raised here, the issue of corruption. In his own admission, the former president of Kenya once admitted that Kenya was losing 2 billion shillings daily on corruption. We've not seen what this government has done to try and curb corruption in this country. We've not even seen any statement from the executive pertaining to issues concerning corruption. When this government came into power, when the governor of Kisii came into power, he really unearthed hundreds and hundreds of ghost workers in his own administration in the small county of Kisii.
Right.
We really need to see as radical surgery done in the workforce of this country, the whole country, so that we can establish where all this ballooned wage bill, how effective is it to our economy. On the issue of what my colleague has raised, I'm very happy that I don't come from a farming county, but he's raised the issue of fertilizers. Kenyans are asking, in the last finance bill, we really had money set aside to buy fertilizer, the subsidy fertilizer. What did we end up getting? We ended up getting some fake fertilizer, an issue that was raised the whole country, and it really elicited emotions, and actually it climaxed into parliament, where even the CS for agriculture was about to be impeached. So it is not an issue that this is what Kenyans are raising. They're saying we had money for fertilizer, but we went ahead and made a scandal all of it. Right. There's no answers up to date. What happened to that money? And you're still asking for more money for fertilizer. Kenyans are saying, no, we cannot pay for that because we've seen your ways, and we don't trust your ways. Okay. That is why we don't even trust their ways when they're saying we are going to pass, then amend. And even if they are going to amend, there are so many connotations in that finance bill with amendments which Kenyans don't agree with. The issue of the eco levy, the eco taxes, that's an issue that we need to discuss further.
Let's wind up. Let's wind up with our final comments from our Honorable People.
So the point I wanted to correct first on the issue on the Ministry of Finance in terms of the 126 billion. I think Honorable Basaris need to know our CDF money actually resides in Treasury, the State Department of Economic Planning, around 60 billion. So as you look at the entire portfolio of 126 billion, you need to subtract that so that at least you... And then briefly, the problem with my two colleagues, especially Honorable Basari, he's talking like a spectator who is watching football, and teams seems to have so much ideas on how that football the team is supposed to play. But if he's taken there to play, I doubt whether he will kick the ball. So sometimes we need to be in a real space. Let us not be in an utopian society where we say this we can do this, and then magic will, Hare Christina, then magic will be there. So sometimes we need to be real.
Okay, let's wind it up there.
And what we are doing as a government is just to be real.
We're completely out of time. Many thanks for speaking to us. That is Soy Member of Parliament, Honorable David Kiplagat. We also have Sarahe Member of Parliament, Honorable Amos Mwago, and Nairobi Women Representative, Honorable Esther Passaris. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for watching this morning.
Thank you.
When you take a look at page 10 of the Daily Nation, we have a list of how all your members of Parliament voted for the second reading of the finance bill, as Kenyans put their members of Parliament on notice. Many thanks for watching this morning. My name is Michelle Ngele Obiambo. Good morning.
DJ Blackie, K24 TV Mix Master.
Leo ni kufinish tomalo
Like a boss.
Antaka this, antaka that.
Yo, when it comes to playing the best music videos,